Dio Saturnalia, Felix dies natalis solis invicti, et felicem natalem Christi. On the 25th of December, we celebrate Christmas and the birth of Christ throughout the entire world. Though how did this date came to be? And how did the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great come to be so deeply associated with this precise dating of Christ's birth? The earliest reference we have for a date of birth for Christ is the anonymous chronograph of 354, a Roman calendar that dates the deaths and the births of martyrs and their festivals. It very unspectacularly notes for the 25th of December, Natus Christus in Bethlehem, Judea. Nothing more. You know that this chronograph must have been around and in existence before 336, but we have no traces of a set date for the birth of Christ before the 4th century. Christian scholars have debated which date it could be already in the 2nd century, but they were far from unanimous. Why does Constantine come into play for setting the date? Before Constantine turned to Christianity, he was into the cult of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. Now in the Roman calendars, Sol Invictus, the day of Sol Invictus, the rebirth of the sun and the victory over darkness and death, was on the 25th of December. Now we don't know if the Romans celebrated this day and this date for Sol Invictus already prior to the 3rd century, but it is very likely that Constantine had something to do with both, with setting the day of Sol Invictus on the 25th of December and maybe even setting the date of birth of Christ on the same day. We cannot say for sure. Everyone that claims certainty on this fact is speculating. We know that in the 4th century the date of Christmas that was started to be celebrated around the 25th of December in the city of Rome itself only spread gradually to the other parts of the empire. We can say that, for example, in Egypt and in Antioch, Christmas at that date would only start to be celebrated much later, in the early 5th century. However, there was a date that was celebrated before that already in the East, on the 6th of January. It's the traditional date of the Epiphany. Now there were several happenings associated with that date, namely the baptism of Christ, the adventus of the Magi, but also the wedding of Cana. So this date, because it is the older one, associated with several festivities and several happenings associated with the life of Christ, became the traditional date of the birth of Christ in the Orthodox Eastern churches. Emperor Constantine is a very enigmatic figure. As such, he leaves us with many questions. He may have been at the source of many of the things that we take for granted today, of much of the world of thought that we know today. However, since the sources are scant, we can only speculate. And with this, I leave you with my best wishes for the festive season, for Christmas, for the New Year.